Hello, everybody. So I thought I'd do a short little video on some of the text, or one of the texts anyways, that you did for the last module 2, David Graeber's Bullshit Jobs. Hopefully, I know a number of people had fun with that. I've been going through your discussion posts and some of your summaries as they come rolling in faster than I can get to them, but that's life. And there are a couple things I wanted to kind of talk about in terms of the concepts that were in there that I think, because they're available for the summary, or sorry, for the short essay, that you should have an opportunity maybe to be clear or to help you clarify some of the issues there. So by and large, the summaries and discussion posts were pretty good and focused on a number of things about this text that I found particularly interesting. So of course, what is a bullshit job, according to David Graeber? Because there are a couple of things that, defining that is a really important thing. Because in some cases, you'd think what he understands to be a bullshit job seems to be somewhat confusing, right? So a lot of you jumped on the dog washing or the pizza delivery guy, right, as bullshit jobs. And it's true, he does say that. And that's an important aspect of that text. But there are other jobs that he calls bullshit too that perhaps are a little more perplexing. So, first of all, like if you bring your pizza delivery boyfriend home to your parents, they're probably not going to be particularly over the moon about that. That I just want to be a pizza driver. I'm not really interested in anything else. Probably not going to go so well, right? And we can see that. And on the other hand, he also says that hospital administration and corporate law are bullshit jobs. And I would likely think that if you brought your corporate lawyer boyfriend home to meet the parents would be pretty pleased by that. That's a pretty exciting and interesting thing to have. So what is it that makes one of these jobs bullshit or both of these jobs bullshit? And it's a fairly simple kind of matrix that he says there, a little theory. And that is, if you take the job away, what would happen to society? And so you can see that if you got rid of dog washing and pizza delivery, yeah, life would kind of suck a little bit, but it wouldn't be so bad, right? I mean, sure, maybe it's a Saturday night, maybe you're a little high and you need some pizza, and the delivery guy won't come. That would suck. But don't do drugs, kids. It's bad. It's a bad analogy. However, corporate law, right? Again, if you get rid of that, or hospital administration, those things could be gone too. And he says nothing would happen. Well, how does that work? So, if we look at something like hospital administration or university and college administration for that matter, according to Graeber, he says that, well, we'll think about a hospital. We have people that are doctors, people that are hospital admin, and the administrative people are designed for organizing the labor of the doctors. Well, let's hypothesize. If we get rid of the doctors and all we have are people who know how to organize, or whose job it is to organize doctors, you've got a problem, right? The expertise is gone. On the other hand, if you get rid of the guys that are organizing the labor, okay, things might be a little bit different or more difficult. That, in fact, now doctors have to take on some of that labor that these people, the administrative people, are doing, right? Um, that in order for the hospital to run, but you'd still have the expertise there, right? That's the thing. So that's why, on the flip side, the jobs that he says that are not bullshit sometimes could be sort of confusing. If you bring your doctor boyfriend home to see your parents, parents are gonna be over the moon, right? Great, good job, right? It's one of those few high value jobs, he says, that also has a high social value and remunerative value. They get paid well. But then again, if you bring home your husband or boyfriend who happens to be a garbage collector, you'd be like, maybe the parents would be, maybe not. But certainly, most parents, I think, would prefer the doctor, right? And he says the reason for this is what happens again if you take those things away. You take away garbage people, garbage workers, things are going to go south badly and quickly, right? What are you going to do with your waste? We rely on those people. And so when they disappear, all of a sudden our society kind of falls apart. So that's a basic anatomy of what Graeber says a bullshit job is and what a non-bullshit job is. One other thing I wanted to point out about this text is when he talks about his version of hell. And I particularly like this because it dovetails back to his notion about why we don't have a 15-hour work week. There are certain particular reasons that he says why we don't. One, and he says it's not consumerism. That's a prevailing model. People say it's because we want more stuff, but he says if we wanted more stuff, we'd have an increase in manufacturing, and there just isn't, right? There are different things that are happening that way. What has increased, he says, is administration, and that is a problem. So, his vision of hell is this weird story about people that are frying fish that are carpenters, right? And so it seems like kind of a strange thing, right? So, and this is a part why we have more than 14-hour or 15-hour work weeks because of what administration asks us to do. So I think his argument there is that if you had doctors who are just running the hospital, they would be responsible, of course, for all the requisitions and blah, 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 and things like that as well. Instead, we have an administrative person that's involved with doing that. But increasingly, bean counters like that, I think that Graeber would call them, increasingly need to explain why counting the beans is valuable. Like, what do we need to do? So they create a bunch of administrative work. Well, one of my very good friends, probably my closest friend, is a physician, and he railed against this moment where you had the hospital greens, so you wear the hospital uniform, and they were making doctors sign out and sign in for them. And they just revolted completely and said, no, we're not going to do that. But basically what this is again, ostensibly say, well, it's to make sure that people are not walking away with hospital stuff, right? But instead what we do is you make an administrative process that you have to fill out a form, and you submit that, and then when you go back, you fill out another form, right? And so the increasing of that kind of labor that basically justifies the job of the administrator, that, look, I'm making these forms for people to do things, that takes up the job of the people that are doing meaningful work. So instead, that's why I have the 15-hour work week. And that's the analogy of all the people that are carpenters, right? These people a bunch of people that are carpenters that are spending most of their time frying fish. So my own experience, I feel this makes a lot of sense to me because I'm terrible at administrative work and about filling out forms. I have to really concentrate and work hard. Whereas the idea of talking about a book or a theory or a philosophy comes very easily and naturally to me. And so that I think are two important aspects of that text that a lot of people touched on, but you could give a little bit more detail. So I'll append this talk with a appeal for your feedback, that if this is something that you want to see in the future, for me to give very short 5 to 10 minute video presentations about what happened in the text and what I think is important in the text, I will do my best to create as many of those as I can for texts that relate to major assignments that are coming up. So I'll post a little thing on Blackboard, a survey, and get people to say whether they found it helpful or whether they did not. All right, well, thanks for playing. And I'll see you virtually or videoly, if that's a word, sometime later. Thanks.